Probably the most difficult part of the program for them is the disablement procedures and the disablement remedies. They have to remember a list of about 50 items that if a train breaks down, how to get it moving again, because they are the general mechanics on the scene. When a train breaks down, there's usually no mechanic right there on the scene. They have to work a plan to get the train moving, certainly in the first 10 minutes.
Okay, we're going to have to couple up, right? But they lost communication with the train behind us too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to walk back there.
Yeah.
Call them.
I got no OTG.
You got nothing right now, I know.
He's an employee. We can do
A chief is going to bring handsets down for us.
Okay.
But I got to walk back there, call them from a phone back there.
All right.
And then we're going to have to get the chief in the handhelds and then come
Okay,
in.
we can do hand signals in the meantime.
Is someone qualified?
I'm signal 4 person.
Okay. So once we get the chief down here, we'll probably do that.
Yeah.
All right. You don't have a flashlight in or do you?
See if there's a breaker that can cut that noise up from the radio.
The only way to cut it out is to hold this talk. That's the only way.
Cut it up.
Yeah, I'll try.
All right.
I'm on the train, we can proceed.
You are on the disabled train?
Yes, I'm clear of track level. Did you guys get the FBO?
We got nothing.
You're just getting down to track level now?
No, I'm on the train now. 3 run.
You're on 3 run. Okay, thank you.
Update on the situation is this train is disabled, and right now I'm waiting for information from my guard about what's going on. Chief supervisor is supposed to show up with phones from him to the following train, and we'll probably have to be coupled and pushed. Right now I don't know anything else because I have no communication with the other end, no communication with control. He has to, the guard there, he has to go down outside at the back end and use the PAX phone. That's the private telephone line.
Do you have a copy?
Operator 103, you're clear. Proceed.
What's that train getting started? Who cares?
So 103 and 104, you're moving towards Edmonton West. The 103 is going to head off road, and then we'll proceed to Osborne 4 and then go to 1.
Operator 103 copies that. We're proceeding offload at Eglinton West.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm Garry Coburn, a subway tower controller. I've been with the commission since '94. I started out as a bus driver, moved on to a wayside supervisor here at Transit Control, went to the Bloor Danforth line as a supervisor, and then into Transit Control as a tower controller. Previous to that, I did spend 4 years operating a subway on the Young University Spadina line, so I've had experience on both lines.
My name is Gale. I'm a tower controller with Toronto Transit Commission. I first started in 1989 driving out of Arrow Road buses, and then about 2 years after that I applied to be an inspector. In those days they used to call us inspectors instead of supervisors, and I went to Queensway, so I did CIS, road supervision, and the cab supervision. From there I moved out to the YUS subway, and I stayed for about 2.5 years. I did the YUS, the Bloor Danforth, and it was a little bit too quiet. I was only seeing one thing at a time, so I decided to transfer or apply for transit control as a tower controller, and I got in 1993, and I've been a controller since then.
Typically, my responsibility is the safety of the customers and the employees. I'm the fellow that's behind the scenes that controls train movement, switch movements, trying to get them to their destination safely. I react to whatever emergency is dished out at the time, whether it be a fire at track level, burning paper, whether it be someone distraught that we're holding a train to investigate, whether it be switch problems or signal problems that I have to work around. We can't get through an area or we have to walk a train through the area. So be rest assured that your safety is my priority, and I'm doing the best I can to get you where you need to at any one time.
You have to have a good attitude. You have to, whatever happened today, you cannot bring it in tomorrow. You're going to enjoy dealing with people, dealing with the operators, you know, but forget whatever happened yesterday. Today is a new day, or tomorrow is a new day, you know. Just keep doing good in school, get your education, and just remember, being a tower controller is not the end. You could move up again. You could become an assistant superintendent, and up to manager. It's up to you. It's up to your goals. Okay, but always keep a good attitude and never forget where you came from. What do I enjoy about my my job as a controller? I like talking pretty much to the supervisors and the operators out there. I like trying to make them at ease and make them smile. Sometimes I make some jokes and, you know, keep them smiling as much as I can, because these guys are in the tunnel all day long most of the time, you know. So I like to ease things up a bit by, you know, talking and joking with the operators and the supervisors.
As a subway operator, you got to be aware that the shifts are basically anywhere from very early in the morning to very late at night, so you have to be very flexible for shifts. You're not going to have a lot of weekends off with your family or friends for the first little while, and it's a very demanding job, so you have to be prepared for that. It's like a job like no other, really, a transit operator. It's the shifts are very difficult to deal with, varying off days. You don't get Saturday and Sunday off for the first 10 to 15 years. That's another thing you have to be aware of. And the biggest challenge, of course, is dealing with large quantities of people that you have to manage very courteously and effectively.
Yes, my name is June, and we're just talking candidly about our day, how it begins. My day begins at 4 o'clock every morning to get here on time to take my train out. Now, my day driving actually does not begin until 7 o'clock. But I have to start somewhere. And starting at 4 o'clock in the morning is the time I have given myself to do all the necessary things that I need to do, preparing my uniform and getting my shoes and my breakfast and stuff like that, to commute here, to be here on time. And a lot of sacrifice is made by us operators to do so. Many times, a lot of the times the public do not know the things we need to go through, especially to be on the job, to take the train out on schedule. And we take our jobs very seriously because we're here to move that train. A lot of times it's not our fault when a train is late. We have no control over how a train runs out of the yard or in the yard. We take it over as they give it to us and we move it. It's late, yes, but not a fault of our own. We have to take into account too that we are people with families that we have to prepare to go to daycare, to schools. We have to prepare lunches and all of that, and it's time consuming. Some of us have children who have physical challenges that have to be taken to special places. We are just a bunch of operators that are doing exactly what the public does on a daily basis when they're going on their commute, when they're going to their jobs, how they prepare themselves to get to work. We do actually the same things. And we're not making any excuses for anything. We just want the public to know that at the end of the day, a lot of us start out early in the morning and end up late at night. I can honestly tell you, we never get finished on time because we're a group of people who make sure that the public is satisfied most of the times, and most of the times we are not finishing our schedule on time. So think about this. You're supposed to start at 7, you're up at 4. You're supposed to finish at 4:30, you're finishing at 5. Then you have to commute home to your family that you left at 4 o'clock in the morning that you have not seen your kids. You kiss them in the bed while they're still asleep. And when you come home, it's almost time for the children to sleep.
Hey, hi, my name's Brian Magee. I'm a subway operator currently right now. I've been with the commission for almost 28 and a half years. I started in plant department, replacing streetcar track. Spent a short period of time as a subway janitor, and from there I went into equipment department as an operating garageman, cleaning and servicing buses. And after 2.5 years of that, I decided I would become an operator. So I've been an operator now for the last just over 24 years. Did buses out of Eglinton Division and a little bit of subway there, and currently spent the last 8 years operating subway out of Wilson.
I guess one of the things I really enjoy about this job is interacting with the people. I'm a bit of a people person guy. I always drive with my door wide open. I try to be inviting as far as if anyone has a question, I try to be approachable. If I see somebody kind of walking around with a confused look on their face, I'll stop and ask them if I could be any assistance. You know, being in inner city transit, like our customers come from all walks of life. We have people from all over, all kind of backgrounds, and it's really amazing who you can meet down here. I've met some amazing people down here that I probably wouldn't have the opportunity to meet them if I wasn't doing this job. A good day, I love kids. Right? I love it when kids are sitting up front, and those are my good days. Like when I feel that I've really had a great interaction with a customer, it's very satisfying. Excuse me. So I guess, unfortunately, being a subway operator, you don't have as much interaction with the public that you would as a bus driver, a streetcar driver. As I mentioned before, I did a couple of years driving streetcars, and where some operators might say that the public is... Oh, that's nice. Where some operators would say that the public can be the most challenging aspect of the job, which it can be. I also think it's one of the most rewarding as well. So being in subway, I do like driving the subway, I do like operating it, but I kind of also miss, you know, the company, I guess you could say. So.
28 years on the job, a lot's happened. I've seen a lot of things. But one thing I guess I'm most appreciative of is that my wife and I actually met on the job. She was a passenger on my bus about 12 years ago, and just a passenger like anyone else, chatted every now and then. And then years later, we started going out. I thought we were dating, she thought we were just friends. And one thing led to another, and we eventually got married and now have a 5-year-old daughter. And I always say to her that I appreciate the fact that she takes public transit, or that she took public transit. But anyway, I think that's, you just never know what's going to happen in this job, different people you're going to meet. But I'm very thankful that I met my wife while driving a bus there about 12 years ago. We just celebrated 9 years of marriage, and we're going strong. So yeah, it's a very good job, very rewarding.
I'm Rowan, and I'm a subway operator with the TTC for 15 years. And I've always liked trains since I've been younger, so I applied with the TTC, not intentionally, but just to have a stable career and move the people around in a safe, efficient manner. However, I thought I would have been a bus driver, but it came through that I got my ideal job of driving the trains.
Hey, it's me again. We're leaving Pape Station. Because we deal with so many passengers every day, there's only 2 workers on every train, and something about the PAs, the yellow strips, I try to tell people, make sure it is emergency, and I even tell a lot of people, if you feel like if you're threatened, or you feel like you're in danger, or you witness something, please hit the yellow strip. It's called the PAA, Passengers Assistant Alarm. Please press it, and a TTC worker will go to the car that's where it's been activated. Whenever if you see something that's odd, somebody's in danger, please hit the strip. That's why it's there. Don't ever pull the red cord. That is mostly for workers or for myself. Really, pretty much never pull the red cord, hit the PA, the big yellow strip. All trains have them. They're all designed in different areas. I would say don't be shy. Use it. If you see something, don't be scared. If you feel your life is being threatened, or you see something happening, or you witness a crime, please hit it, because that you could be saving somebody's life.
I'm sure the public knows most of the pros and cons of the job. However, they have to realize and recognize that in this subway operations, we deal with the death of a human being in the most gruesome fashion. And we're first and live and direct. Even when we call the 911, we're seeing it, feeling it, experiencing it, and it's not always pretty.
I'm especially grateful for the support that we get when things happen. Most times when we have situations like suicides happening in the subway.
Hi, my name is Renato. I've been a commission employee since 1990. I've done my first 7 years. I started at Arrow Road and then transferred to Wilson Bus, and I was there for about 2 years. And now I've been in the subway for about 14 years as a subway operator. Good morning, and when I start work, I take transit. I don't live far from the division, so some people would drive, and because of the construction going on now at Wilson Complex, it's a challenge to get to work and to find parking some mornings. However, I take transit, so I don't have that work, and then the bus would drop me off at Wilson Station, and then I would make my way over to the Wilson Division and report in, and then make my way over to the hostler where we take the trains in service from the Wilson hostler into service southbound at Wilson.
Hi, my name's Oliver Nicolai, and I'm a tower controller here at the Transit Control Center. And I've been doing this now for about 14 months. And I originally started as an operator. I started driving bus in, almost 15 years ago. And I only did that for about 2 years. And then I had the need for the trains for some reason. As a kid, I always wanted to drive a train, so the subway was the place for me to go. So after 2 years with the commission, I ended up going to the subways, and I was operating on the Bloor Danforth and the SRT line for about, 6 years. And from that point on, I needed something different. I needed to grow, and with the TTC, there's always room for opportunity. And I ended up going to the training department, where I was training operators, new operators or transfers that wanted to get into the subway, streetcars, collectors, even the tower crossover. So I was doing that for about 4 years. And then eventually, you can only do so much training, and it gets repetitive, the same thing over and over again. So I decided to change, and I saw the opportunity for a tower controller. So I applied for that, and here I am now for the last, like I said, 14, 15 months. I've been here as a tower controller, basically operating the YUS, the Young University Spadina line, the Bloor Danforth line, and the Shepherd SRT line.
My name's Joanna Hughes. I've been with TTC now for pretty close to over 27 years. I started originally when I was 22 in 1981. The years don't add up, I know, but I quit. So I stayed for a year. I drove bus, subway, trolley bus, and stayed for a year, and I quit. Then I came back 4 years later, and I've been here ever since 1986. So when I came back to buses, streetcars. I drove Wheel-Trans bus for 13 and a half years. I was a driver, and once my son got old enough that I didn't need to worry about my shifts so much, I moved over to the other side, management, and became a subway supervisor. So I worked out of Wilson Subway, Downsview Station, Eglinton, Finch, and from there I came down to transit control as a tower controller and wayside dispatcher, and also chief supervisor. And in the last year I've now become an acting transit controller. I'm not an actor. I'm the real deal. No, so transit controller is the position that used to be called assistant superintendent, and we basically look after the room, after the transit control center. There are 7 of us. One of us is always on duty 24/7. Sometimes we'll have 2, and our job is to keep an eye on the control center and everyone in it.
Every day is a different day, or how they say life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So that's the same thing here at Transit Control. Every day is a different day. It poses new challenges or new situations happening here. So, you know, you just come in and you tackle things one at a time. You know, whatever comes your way, you just do the best you can to try and accommodate, you know, the passengers out there, because we know we're here for a service. We're here to basically get the passengers from A to B, and we want to make sure they get there safely and efficiently.
The tower controllers, we have 5 on duty during busy times. We'll have 2 on the YUS, 2 on the BD, 1 on the SRT and Shepherd. The tower controller's job basically is to keep the trains apart. So off-peak we're looking for 4 or 5 minute service. During rush hour we're looking for 2.5 minute service. And the real challenge is when a train stops. Once the train stops, they start to back up behind the train. So what you have to do, if this is your stop, is you have to start a loop going on both sides. My job now as transit controller is to keep an eye on the tower controllers. I also look after the dispatchers who are answering calls from buses, streetcars, janitors, collectors. Everything comes through transit control. If there's a toilet paper roll that needs to be replaced, we hear about it. If someone's under a train, we're also the first ones to hear about it. So everything comes through transit control. We're the hub of the TTC.
G'day, I'm Colin. I've been an operator with the TTC at the Bloor Danforth, the Scarborough RT, for just over a year now. I guess I got into this. I've always enjoyed driving, so I thought I'd like to do something along that line, and so I ended up applying, and I had some customer service experience, so that helped me get in here. Today we're up on the Scarborough RT, or the SRT, as you can tell by the noise in the background. It's interesting train. It runs from Kennedy Station to McCowan Station. The major stop on it is the Scarborough Town Centre. It's an early automatic type train system. When it was put in, it was state of the art. Now it's getting a little dated and a little noisy.
My name is Sada Jain, and I am a rail vehicle analyzer, and I'm working as a line mechanic currently. And I am a licensed auto mechanic by trade, and for the last 7 years I am working for TTC. First 2 years I worked in the yard and I learned how to fix trains, and then since last 5 years I am on the line working as a line mechanic.
The RT's sort of to me is nice. I like coming up here. It's a quiet. It takes about 15, like quiet as in customers. It takes about 15 minutes from one end to the other end. So you're always getting up and switching ends to drive back in the other direction. So it makes for a quick, what seems like a quicker shift. I don't know, I've enjoyed being here at the TTC. It's I find it's interesting talking to the customers. Being a farm boy, to come up here into the city and meet all the different people is sort of neat. That's probably one of the biggest advantages to working here.